Welcome back to the Burn Boot Camp podcast. I'm so excited for our guests today. We have Lea with us. Lea is a Burn Boot Camp Lake Norman member. She's been featured in our brand campaign, our first ever brand campaign this year, and she also joined us for our first ever member summit. So please join me in welcoming Lea. Lea, can you give us a little introduction about yourself?
Sure. I'm Lea. I have been a Burn Bootcamp member since January of this year. I'm getting ready to be on my first year. I'm very excited for that. And Burn Bootcamp has changed my life. I recently just moved to the Lake Norman area from Philadelphia, born and raised. And Burn Bootcamp has been just a huge, tremendous part of my life. So.
Well, I love your story, Lea, and I'm really excited for people to hear more about you, learn more about you. I think one of the cool things about Burn Bootcamp is we're all on our different journeys, but there's part of our journeys that are similar. And so when we hear things that are like, oh yeah, that's like me. So people are going to hear your story and they're gonna be able to relate to you. So I'm really excited about that. And then something else that's so nice about Lea is her smile. Her smile is so vibrant, so beautiful. She just lights up every room that she's in. So now everyone else gets to see this beautiful smile. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go to our YouTube channel so you can see Lea's beautiful smile. But has that always your presence? Has it always been just like that magnetic? I know we're going to get into a little bit of like your transformation, but would love to know like where you are now. And you talked about how you were coming up on 1 year of being a member at Burn Bootcamp. Can you talk a little bit about how maybe you've just seen that change within yourself, that confidence?
Yeah. I think that I probably always had a big smile. My dad has you think my smile is nice? Wait till you meet my dad if you ever meet my dad.
We need to see him.
And that he gave it to every single one of his kids. But life happens and you go through things in life. And so I think it was dimmed for a little while. Mm-hmm. And so I definitely can feel that now. Mm-hmm. I am more freely smiling, more vulnerable, more open, mm-hmm. more bright, if I could say, mm-hmm. Than I have been in the past. So it's definitely something that is like nice to feel like that free.
When did you start to feel that way? Like when did you start to feel that your smile? And I think when we say smile, it's almost like your confidence. Yeah. And I know like I understand what you're saying because I've also noticed the confidence in myself. So anyone that's listening probably understands maybe they're at a moment in their life when they're not feeling that confident. We all know inside where our potential is from a confidence perspective. And we know when we're kind of feeling that like that wall being put up. So can you talk us a little bit about maybe start with your journey on like when you started to feel that confidence kind of go back and then when you started to see that light again?
Yeah. I would say probably maybe springtime this year is when I started to feel like something is changing inside of me. And it had been a really long time of not feeling confident, not being proud of who I was, feeling uncomfortable, not just even in like physically, like in weight or health, just because of things that have happened in life. You just don't really feel like you belong or that things are working out. But I think the beautiful thing that has transformed me through Burn Bootcamp is that what we do on the floor like transcends to real life. Mm-hmm. So it's not just picking up heavy weights. It's, I can do hard things. Yep. It's not just a trainer telling you can do it. It's overcoming people telling me my whole life that I can't, and then believing that now I can because I did it. So I think that those things have been the biggest impact in me being like, I probably was this person all along, but didn't have permission to be her, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I love that you said that because I also feel similarly when we're talking about things that people say. It's like, yes, I think, my journey is a little bit different than yours. But one thing that's, I think, cool about Burn Bootcamp is we're not looking at a transformation on the outside. Mm-hmm. To us, it's about the transformation on the inside. Mm-hmm. And then that makes your transformation on the outside, that confidence just come through. So can you share a little bit, kind of rewind, I guess, maybe to whenever you want to start and talk through that journey?
Yeah. So at the end of last year, 2022, my husband got a call and he got a job transfer. So from Philadelphia to North Carolina, Charlotte. And it was one of those things that was like, we had been praying and like wanting a change in life. And then he got the call. And I remember he looked at me and he's like, so what do we do? And I was like, we've been praying for this, so we just got to go. And like that coming out of my mouth is not a typical like Lea thing. Normally I'm like, let's pray about it. Let's pray about it again. I don't know, like question everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward, we moved, but just the nature of the move caused us to be separated for a little while. I was still in Philadelphia. My husband was here. And so I just got like into a really bad place mentally. It was kind of like I was in a hallway, like life was ending that I knew, and I had no idea what I was getting ready to walk into. So I just kind of felt stuck. And then being separated from my husband, who is my best friend, and it's just a bunch of things. So long story short, I got into a place that I did not want to be in mentally. And the only reason why I joined Burn Bootcamp at the time was because there was one here. So I just knew that I knew the place that I was in, that I couldn't handle inconsistency. I needed something to be the same when everything was changing. And so whether I was home in Philadelphia or I was here visiting my husband until I moved, Burn was going to be the consistent thing. And it has obviously changed my life. The fact that I was sitting here was never even in the fact that I would be sitting here was never in the cards at the beginning of the year.
And so you talk about like that. How did you have the mental strength at that time, and maybe you didn't know how to dig it up when you felt like you were in that hallway, as you call it, to know what to do to move forward? So if there's anyone that's kind of feeling that way, and I know most of us, at least I know I've been in that situation before, different reasons why I felt like I was in that hallway. It wasn't because my husband was moving, but how did you kind of talk yourself through like, and it doesn't have to be Burn Boot Camp. Like I think that's one thing that, I don't want this podcast to always be like a sales for Burn Boot Camp. It's about digging deep and understanding what it is for you that's going to help you get out of that hallway or get out of that moment to find that like you need something else that's going to help you move forward. So can you talk through a little bit about that journey for you?
I think you just said it perfectly. I was just at a point so desperate that I needed something. And to be honest with you, I don't even know when I walked through the doors that was going to be it, but I just needed to get out of the house. Like I had been that week specifically, I had been in the house too long. I'd been by myself too long. I had been tormented, if I could say, by my thoughts for too long, that it was just like, you just got to get out of here. But I also think and not everyone has this, but people have seen when I've gotten into those positions before and kind of be like, are you okay? Are you good? And I know that that's not the case for everyone. Sometimes people don't have anyone to notice. I'm thankful for my situation to be like, Lea, I think you've been in this situation for too long. We need to figure it out. So I'm glad that you said that, because it maybe that day, it obviously turned out to be burned, but it was just simply like, just get out of the door. And it was like really like a fight. A lot of times in my life, I've had to like, okay, you just need to take that one step. Just put your foot out of the bed. If you can just get out of the door, if you can just put your bare feet on the grass, if you can just get to the start, like whatever it is, just that one little push. But that comes from a place of like desperation. Like if I don't do this, it's going to be really bad. And
can you lean into what does like really bad, like what does that feel like for you?
Yeah. So I've shared this with you before about, or around you before about me turning 30 this year and how pivotal that was. Too many times that I can count, I did not think that I would even be here on earth. So when I say really bad, me naturally internalize things. Like that's just my personality in general. So then add negative things or a bunch of change or a bunch of shifts. And then my brain just spirals. And a lot of that also has to do with childhood. I grew up in a very critical home. Things that I'm still working through now, which is crazy. But so when I say really bad, like I didn't think that I would be here. Even just life in general, the fact that I'm married, the fact that I wake up and I have joy, those were things that just seemed so far and so hopeless a very short time ago. So yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I know obviously we love having you here. And I wanted you to share that for anyone who does feel that way right now and who maybe can relate to feeling that way, because anyone who's feeling that way right now, it makes me emotional because you just want them to know, like, you just have to like make those baby steps. And I think it's different for everybody. So I guess if you could go back and tell Lea, who was thinking those thoughts, like, it's going to be okay. Like, I don't even know, is that something that you say to yourself? Like, what are, I guess, anything that you can just share with someone who's just feeling that moment, that heaviness right now? Do you have anything that comes to mind?
I would say, I think it's easier for me to say it to Lea because I don't know what everyone goes through.
Yep.
But I would just ask her to hold on, that it seems really, really, really dark right now, and it's not going to stay that way. Something that I've held on to for a long time is that in life we have seasons, just like we have, we're going through fall, transitioning into winter and all of that. But the beautiful thing about seasons is no matter how cold they are or how hot they are, how hard they are, they all have a beginning and an end. And it's really hard. It's really hard. And I've been in your shoes before. For anyone that is in this situation right now, it does get better. And I would just hope that my life and my ability to be here and talk about it on the other side would give someone hope.
Yeah. And it is. It is. I mean, I know you give me hope. You give a lot of people hope. Let's talk about now, you shared where you were just a short time ago. How do you feel now? Do you feel different? Do you feel better? Like, what's your thought process now?
I feel amazing.
I love that.
I truly do. Part of this transition, like just moving from my childhood home and where all my family is to a place where we literally knew nobody. It was kind of like, I kind of thought, I think in the beginning of the year, like, this is your time to reinvent yourself. If you want to change your name, no one's going to know. And like, you can just do something that you never did before. And I think that through this journey and through Burn Boot Camp and through the healing and all of the stuff that's happened this year, it wasn't a reinventing. It was becoming who I was supposed to be all along.
I love that so much. It's like finding the real Lea. And once you find who that is and you're living your true self, it's like the opportunities are endless. I know that you've even you work at Burn. If you want to share a little bit about, I love your story about how you signed it with a promotion, right? And then a month later you started working. Can you share with your own words?
So I started with our 4-week for 69 promotion beginning of the year. And then I remember my first universal visit at the time was a location here in this area. And I remember going home and getting on the phone with my husband. And I was like, Burn is kind of like the Chick-fil-A of fitness. Like no matter where I go, I'm going to get the same experience. And that's a testament to Devin and to Morgan and to everyone that works so hard to make sure that members experience that. But I was like, I have to be a part of that. Like, I have had so much change already. Like, I want to be on the other side of that for someone else.
Yeah.
So, cards just fell into place and I was getting ready to move here full time. And I saw the position open to be a Burn ambassador and I was like, this is it. And it has been the best decision that I could make. And I shared a little bit about this at Member Summit about, a lot of times we are chasing that 9-to-5, chasing that, that job that'll pay the bills and put food on the table. And those are all great things. But I want to do something that's going to make an impact. I really, truly believe that we should be who we needed. And I get to do that as a Burn ambassador. So the little girl who didn't have people looking out for her, who didn't really feel safe, who could walk in a room and no one know her name, not even because of like notoriety, but just like you were just ignored, that little girl. You know, you get to do that on the other side and, hey, how are you? And say their name. And people come up to you and they're like, it's amazing that you know my name. And it is amazing, but like I don't want to just know your name. Yeah. I want to know about you. And I want to be there when you get that double under, or you do that really hard thing, or, you know, some people walk in and we really truly say like, this is the best 45 minutes of their day. Mm-hmm. And they walk in and they've had a terrible day. Mm-hmm. And you're the first person that sees them. And from someone who has been overlooked to be the one that gets to make someone feel seen, mm-hmm. There's no better feeling in the world.
I think it goes back to what we said at the beginning of like watching these people accomplish hard things. I was a trainer for a couple of years, and you can see when people, and you start to get to know people, obviously that's mm-hmm. part of Burn Boot Camp is we're a community and we know these people and we know maybe not their whole story, but when you see them go on that floating floor and they turn into the person that they are, because I always say like I'm a different person on the floating floor, and it's really I think truly who Trisha is because I just go after the things. Mm-hmm. And it's helped me do that in real life, just like you've said. And so when you see people get that box jump for the first time, it's more than just getting the box jump. Mm-hmm. We don't actually care about the box. We do, but like we don't. Mm-hmm. We care more about them, the challenge that it took mentally to overcome whatever was going on in their head from childhood trauma to say, I can't do this too. I can do it and mm-hmm. I'm going to do it. And then you get to, and I think that's what it is. It's like you get to experience the joy and that you felt, and then you see someone else feel it. And it's just, I just get it, I guess.
It's also very healing. Like that role is very healing for me. Because like I've said, like I've already said a couple of times, I've experienced the other side of that. Mm-hmm. And so to be that for someone else, it's like not just these things happen to me, but now I can use them for good.
Yep. No, I love that. And now your husband comes with you, right? Mm-hmm. He hasn't always though come, or has he always come with you?
He has not always.
Okay.
No.
So just because I know you guys just, I follow Lea on Instagram. I was like living through her life. She was like in Florida visiting mm-hmm. all the burns. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with him and Burn? And I mean, it doesn't have to be about Burn, but just how it kind of has helped you guys in your marriage.
Yeah. My husband is my best friend. And for anyone that gets to be in a relationship or do life with their best friend, it's like top tier. And I want that for everybody. Mm-hmm. I love my husband. He's my best friend. So to be able to add that next layer into our relationship, like typically on vacation, it's like, let's go to the outlets and let's, you know, go to this place that we've never been. And this time we were like, find every burn that's closest to us. Like we're shopping and I was like, what happened to us? Like we completely changed, but for good. Like, just because of the beauty of all the locations that we have around us, we don't always go to the same location, and he goes to work different times than me. So it like we come home and we're sitting and he's like, what was your station? And what was the hardest part of your day? And like where it could just be like, we're just having a mundane conversation or like a routine conversation. We're like, no, you know, like that weight choice was like really heavy for me. Yeah. And it does transcend mm-hmm. again. And another way that it transcends is like something that I might have run from, a conversation I might be like a little nervous to have with him because, you know, life happens or stuff happens in relationships. Right. That stuff transcends. So like we've already done hard things together. Yeah. We can tackle this too. It's mm-hmm. just added such a nice layer to our friendship. I'm not a competitive person, but I have nice, friendly competition in this area with him.
I love that. That's awesome. And now, like, so you've experienced a couple different communities. I mm-hmm. think your husband goes to a different location than you do, mm-hmm. and then you are at your BA at Burn Boot Camp Lake Norman, uh-huh. and then you come to Burn Boot Camp Lake Norman. Uh-huh. Can you talk about just the community? Just because I think it is different. I've visited a couple different ones, and while we're all in different areas of the U.S. right now, we'll be global soon. We all kind of share a similar, just common thread of, I think it's not competition. It's just showing up for yourself mm-hmm. at the end of the day. Can you, I mean, just because you visited a lot, is that what you see too?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that that's spot on. And you have to use the word competition loosely, but it's more like maybe camaraderie.
Yeah.
Like, I see you do that, so I want to do that type of thing. But I feel like that's across the board.
Yeah. And then the high fives.
Mm-hmm.
The high fives for me, I don't know how you felt, but when we first started, I was like, why is everyone giving me a high five? This is a lot of high fives.
Yeah.
But now I get it. And now I love a high five. And I'm honestly now in the grocery store and I'm like wanting to high five people. But it just helps you, like, gives you that extra boost. Like, I see you, girl.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you picked up that heavier weight. And then to your point, it helps me. I'm like, I go to the next station and I'm like, I saw Lea doing that. Now I want to level up my game because I know at the end I'm going to feel much better about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we're wrapping up this awesome chat. Is there anything that you just kind of want to leave our audience, our listeners, our members with that's just like on your heart?
Yeah. I look at my plans for this year before we got to October. So this time last year, looking at my plans for 2023 and then looking at how 2023 has played out. And they're two completely different sheets of paper. But they took me taking a step and doing a scary thing in order to get here. And so I would just encourage anyone listening or watching that if you could just ask yourself what would happen if you just did that really scary thing, whether that's Burn Boot Camp, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a new job, whatever that is, what would life look like if you just did it? And a lot of times we think about like I could fail or I could get hurt or the negative side, but it could work out. And oftentimes it does. Yeah. So I get the privilege to sit here with you today because of that one scary step, and not just that one, but just doing it over and over and over and over again. Yeah. So I would just encourage anyone listening or watching to just take that one step and keep doing it and watch how your life changes.
I love that. Keep moving is the ultimate saying there. I don't think there's any better way that we could end this. So thank you so much, Lea, for sharing your story. If you're listening, watching, please don't forget to subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow Lea. She's so beautiful. And, drop us in the comments. What do you guys want to hear next? We're always wanting to learn and improve this, because this podcast really is meant for you guys who are listening. So thank you so much. I'm going to take us out like we always do. 2 claps on 2. 1, 2. Bye.